is just amazing.
Well, it's gonna be in the 60s today.
Well, it was in the 60s on Saturday too. And no wind.
I can't remember that far back.
Soon to do that. Get ready for the next ice.
So was that approved?
Yep. Each time,
So it's approved, send that to Apple.
see, it was three different elections.
Yeah.
This is the first one, and we did another half, and the big one will,
Go a mill and a half
or two minutes total.
every year for maintaining the council on the aging facility.
Something you're happy with. Disperse it out, so the commissioners.
Do we spend that much each year now?
Do we need to say under the budget hearing that there were no objections?
They give it to
Is that something that,
Yeah.
So it goes
would
to
be
council
pertinent?
aging first, then
Normally, if it was
it's-
no other hearing, but it didn't list everybody.
Yeah, right.
That was present, so,
what's not.
because I couldn't remember who everybody was that was here. So I just struck that part out.
Every year.
We have it in the past, that doesn't
Well,
mean.
once it's approved, does it have to come every year to be reapproved?
There might have been some objections, they just weren't voiced.
that's true, that's true.
The mill
Yeah.
stays the same, but the budget.
No, collected from the taxpayers.
So you, but you do have, you're obligated to give it every year, 2 mil? Because of that.
The state says just 1 mill.
It's if you vote on it, since the vote on it, it's two. Right?
Well, the county says that they can get more.
Yeah.
The state
It's
says
just-
it's just 1. A minimum.
Yeah.
Not gonna be used for anything, maintenance or rebuilding or
Whatever it says.
Like
Senior,
what you had
money
here.
used for senior program,
What you had.
Yeah.
not buildings.
No, but it could be used for
If the commissioners decide to do it.
expansion, I assume that means get a new building then.
Not the way the mill levy was written.
Yeah.
Oh. Well, I don't know. I haven't been
You
in
have to do
Well,
fundraisers.
that's what it
or
says.
Grants. And the council on aging might have more money to give, and they started up.
Well, how's the bill levy? How many, how's the bill levy?
Up there, just like it says.
But you said,
It's just for senior programs.
yeah, well, we know that, but I'm just
So
saying.
that's what I'm saying.
But how
A
come?
building is no.
Well, it
Building-
says expansion there, that could mean adding a new building, can't it? I don't know.
It doesn't say
I'm not
that.
for it, yes, I'm just asking.
In the original charter, it doesn't say that, so I don't know what the original.
Oh, okay. Well, I don't know.
But, well, it has been before, they asked for grants when they first started, and then they also asked for, from the council on aging, and they have
Well, like our
started both of them.
current senior center, who, would the county maintain that building, that facility? If it needs a new roof or whatever?
The senior center itself, so
Yeah.
they have monies they put back probably from mill levy money, maybe donations, maybe fundraisers.
Combination of all of them.
Usually you do a fundraiser, if you need something, you just throw out bid.
Well, private,
Justify it, and you
private.
get 3 bids of what it would cost, and then you pick a bid, and then you do a fundraiser.
I'm for saving county money. That is,
That would
that,
be the
I
big
move
thing
to
do.
approve the
I would
minutes
say.
from
Well, that's-
December
If they both
31st,
taxpayers
2018.
exactly, well, that's what I'm, but if we, know, if we talk.
A second. Have a motion, a second, approve the minutes. Is there any other discussion? Not all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
We have one tax abatement for $72. It was a solid waste disposal fee charged on the wrong parcel. Well, residents at that parcel, I guess.
It's a
Abandoned
home
residence.
that's on leased land, so we'll add it to where the home is at, or onto the personal property side.
I move to approve abatement 2018-08 for $72.
Second. Is there any further discussion? Not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye. So we have two invoices for Lincoln Park Manor. One is Lincoln Building Supply for a seal for the air conditioning unit. The other one is another grease trap pump. How many times have we done that this year?
They have to have it done quarterly.
Quarterly is what they told me that they do. And so
I thought it was
that may be a reprint.
twice a year, but when we checked into it here a few months ago.
Well, yeah, because we didn't pay that one for a couple months because
Yeah.
we were wondering
We
if it was
thought
a
it was-
duplicate bill.
We thought it was a duplicate, and then they found out they had a big bump every quarter.
And they wouldn't come back until we paid it. And Bruce Voboda, I think I pronounced that correct, he was gonna come in one day and kind of explain to you what it does and why they pump it quarterly. But he said that the last several times it's been pretty sludgy. And then he was gonna explain, you know, the process and why it does. But
I'm sure they have to before it starts transferring the grease into the sewer systems. Okay, Sionia, do you wanna be called Sionia or Dee Dee?
Dee Dee's fine.
Okay.
Yeah,
Well, you always,
much easier.
there's always kinda been Dee Dee, but on
Yeah.
the minutes, it's always Sionia, so.
you know, I feel like I should put her real name, but
What's that?
I said I feel like I should put a real name in the minutes, so.
Yeah.
I just have updates for you guys from last week. I checked with the principal of the school on the internship, and she did state that it is at our discretion if we pay, the high schooler that we bring in. She says they just code it differently. If we do not pay them, it's considered an internship, and if we do pay them, it's considered a work-study program. So it's all considered our choice. So I just told her that I would get back with her if you guys decided that was something that you wanted to do.
Is it possible to change that status during the year if the person works out to be satisfactory, that skills are good and that's useful, that maybe we could move them into work study instead of,
Yes, it is possible. It would basically just require some more paperwork, but it is possible to switch.
Right now, it would be from now until the end of the school year.
It actually does not start
Start
until the
till
beginning
next
of
year.
next school year.
Oh.
We have
I
all
see.
summer
Okay,
to take
okay.
the applications and the interviews
but
and
I
all
guess
of that.
my feeling is that I would hate for them to start on work study at that age and not be able to perform the task, and be paying them. I think that we ought to see their skill level for the job that we have for them.
I personally think at that age, if you're going to get credits for schoolwork, that it should be a volunteer position so that they can get the experience needed. And we are facilitating training, which may cost us some time.
Right.
So I would say I would approve opening it for the volunteer position that they would get school credits for, but I wouldn't start out paying someone personally. Especially because we don't have it budgeted.
Right.
So if Liz would like to begin that task of searching for someone who wants that kind of experience and would do that in lieu of being in school to get credits,
Okay.
I don't see why they couldn't move forward with that unless anybody objects.
By second semester, we would have a new budget.
Gotcha.
Right, it would be through
You know,
December.
I think until,
My feeling is that the first semester ought to be for theirs credit. If it's successful, I don't mind helping kids go into work study.
Oh, and by then the training portion of it should
Yeah,
be over.
yeah, it's over, we trained them,
And-
yeah.
And they get we do evaluations on them, just like we do regular associates. So even if it's somebody that doesn't work out, we could possibly bring
Yeah.
in somebody in
Yeah.
mid-year. Okay.
sounds fine to me.
Yeah, I think that type of clerical work would be appropriate.
Okay. And on the newspaper, where you wanted me to check if we could do like 3 days 1 week, 2 days the next.
Will they split it?
I'm sorry.
Will they split it?
Yes, they will, on the contingency that there are not 2 Sundays.
Uh-huh.
Like we can't do like Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and then Sunday, Monday. Has
So
to
let's
be.
do that. Let's do
I
2
would
weeks in a row.
suggest, right, I would suggest 1 week have a Sunday and 1 week have a Wednesday, because
Uh-huh.
those are your bigger papers.
Sure.
Okay.
Let's do that.
Okay.
Then at least we know what we're getting for our money.
Also, Dell Detmer had told me that there is a website called the Kansas Board of EMS Directors website that will, we can advertise for the EMS director for free on it. Would you like me to place an ad in there? Okay. Okay, and so now we are on to the temporary EMS director position. I spoke with all of the full-times over there, and I have a list of who would and who wouldn't, but had recommendations for others. Brandon Cochran, of course, stated he would last week when he was here. Shiloh Florence said that she would. Gerald Halad said he would, but would recommend Brandon first. Tommy Knapp said no, but he would recommend it be given to Brandon. And then Dell Detmer, who is the longest running associate over there, said he would not like the position, but he will assist anybody who takes it in any way that he can.
Well, I would say, a couple of them recommended Brandon. Brandon is a current director in another service, so he obviously knows what it takes and has the abilities to do the job. I think that you'd be putting someone in that wouldn't require any training whatsoever, temporarily at least.
Oh, I appreciate you contacting all of them. I think it's kind of settled from within the department as far as what they've expressed, so
Right.
I would move to appoint Brandon Cochran.
I think we need to, we need to discuss with him probably, as far as compensation or anything you'd require on a temporary basis to do that, or,
I would do it at my current rate of pay, just to get somebody in that position,
okay,
so that we can get through to the hiring process.
okay. I just wanted to clarify that before we,
Thank you.
Thank you, Brandon.
I would move to approve Brandon Cochran as temporary director of the EMS department.
I will second. Is there any further discussion? Not, all those in favor say aye.
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 That's it today.
Yes.
Yes, and I was wondering, maybe we need to, since we're going to put the ad in the newspaper. We had originally said for the next well, I guess it would be 3 weeks, including this week, that we'd be accepting applications. I wonder if we need to extend that by about 2 weeks so that
Okay.
we get that in the paper and then, because if we do, I don't know, we probably can't get it in this week. Tomorrow's Tuesday.
I can check on it, we might be able to, cause she's already got the ad itself, I've already mailed her the ad, so I may be able to go ahead and give her the okay today.
Okay, so if potentially this is the first week and then it runs the second week, and we chose like a Sunday, that'd be the 20th. So that only gives 5 more days because we originally said the 25th. So maybe we should push that through to the first week in February, which would be like through the 8th is the Friday. Does that make sense?
Okay.
It'll give us about a month.
Okay. Also, was it your intent to decrease the pay of the past EMS director? He received a $5 an hour raise at the
Yes,
time he
ma'am.
took over the position. Okay. And that would start, December 29th. Okay.
Yeah.
All
Where was it 20?
right. 21, so he will.
It was-
Go to 16.
It was at 21 even?
Yes.
Okay, so you need a motion to change the pay. I move to change the pay rate for Brett Kingan from $21 an hour to $16 an hour, effective December 29th, 2018.
Second.
Any further discussion? Not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you.
Do you wanna start?
I guess we might as well.
Okay. So I just put it on the agenda because I know we need to discuss it. We need to know what you wanna do for cost of living increases, because we'll be doing longevity checks this week for all employees. And so if you grant any kind of raise that goes back to December 26th, we really need to get it included with the longevity, so we don't have to correct payroll. Or we make any kind of raises effective January 26th and move forward. But you guys really did not discuss any further last year, you know, what balance you were going to do. I know a lot of department heads asked me, and I told them I had no idea, but I'm not sure any of them got brave enough to come down and ask you guys what your intentions were. But you budgeted 50 cents for raises. I don't know, you know, if you wanna do half cost of living, half merit, all merit, no cost of living, a percentage.
You had a department that was finished with evaluations. What department was that?
That was the health department.
Health department.
I have them with me now.
Okay, and then any word from the other departments?
No.
Okay, and have you even contacted them as far as, I know
Well,
you've had a lot of other tasks
right.
to do, but,
I think we wanted to know exactly what I needed to do
Mhm.
before I went forward.
Mhm.
Yeah.
and I think we need to have all those evaluations done if we're going to assign a cost of living, so maybe, or, excuse me, merit-based. So I think we need to put a time frame on that, and then
Okay.
maybe you could relay that message to the department heads and say, we need these evaluations by, you know, what do we wanna aim for the first quarter of the year, have them done? I mean, that gives us the rest of this month and then through March.
Did we ever decide, were they doing them on their anniversary dates of hire, or are they
We
doing them?
didn't decide anything as far as what I remember.
I'd say there was no policy, no further discussion. That's one of the things I'd hope that maybe Dee Dee could help you guys with, to figure out. You know, I don't know if you want to do, I know some of your applicants that you had said in their lines of work, they did them on their anniversary dates. I don't know if you want to do something different this year, and then knowing next year it will be on their
Yeah,
anniversary
I mean, the
dates.
problem
or-
with that is if we're going to give a raise based on the evaluation, you know, I mean, weighting that in, then if they're all on a different day, that really doesn't coincide with everyone getting that at the same time or getting it within a certain pay period. You know, I think we need to set one deadline for this year, in my opinion.
It would be easier for payroll, I'm gonna speak out of turn, but it would be easier for payroll if you changed all of the payroll at one time, because
Mhm.
there's so many rooms for errors, there's so many ways
Right.
that employees could be missed.
And if you're doing just individuals within departments and then department by department, yeah, I would say we need to set a deadline. My suggestion would be the first quarter of the year. That way, it gives bigger departments a chance to get theirs done, and then everyone is eligible at the same time for that.
Is
Another,
that just for this year, or you mean for all of us?
forever,
Just for this year specifically, I mean, I don't know how do you feel about requiring the department heads to turn in the evaluations per employee based on anniversary date? I mean, that also makes for a lot of shuffling of paperwork.
Right, I personally don't have a personal opinion on that. I just have an opinion as far as I don't think that everybody should get like the same, you know what I mean, the same amount. Because I personally feel that there are people that go above and beyond.
You mean the raise, the merit? Right, and I think that's what we're trying to establish is,
can I make a suggestion maybe? And I might get strangled by all the employees, but what if you guys would come up with a policy and you say, and you could say you want your evaluations done, but what if we would make it by a July 1st deadline? That, not necessarily, but you guys would approve for the June 26th paycheck for all merit-based increases to go on it. That would be at 6 months. That'd give you some time, but you guys need to give some direction to your employees. I mean, they can start working on, or your supervisors, they can start working on the evaluation process of it, but how do they recommend what an employee should get? And the question that I had was, let's just say we'll say my department. If I had 2 employees and I had $1 to give, can I give 75 cents to one and 25 to the other? Or is it just a maximum of 25 cents and I can give one, or 50 cents, one 25 cents and the other one the 50 cents? So those are the questions I've had from the department heads that I didn't really know how to answer.
right?
You know, are they allotted X amount of dollars and then they divide that, or based upon their employees that are doing well, is there gonna be a maximum amount an employee can get if they're doing good versus one that's not performing quite as well? But then that would give you guys some time to
That
load
would
it.
be easy to determine in a small department, might not be as easy to determine in a big department.
But we budgeted 50 cents per
Yes.
head. So what we need to do first is establish, are we or are we not going to do cost of living? Because once we subtract that out of the equation, then we know what the remainder is. And then I think it should be a scale from there. Let's say you take 10 cents out of that, or however you want, and you have 40 cents left. You can do it by increments of 10 cents. You can do 2 options, 20 cents or the whole 40 cents. You know what I'm saying? Like if you score satisfactory, you can get the 20 cents. If you're above satisfactory, you know, outstanding, you can get the 40 cents or not. I think we need to establish first what we're going to cut out of that 50 cents if we're going to just do a standard across the board. Because I know that's been the practice here. I mean, I'm glad to see it not be the entire 50 cents because it makes it a little more fair for those who feel that they have a higher output than some of their coworkers.
I'm gonna sit down, I feel like I'm speaking over the top of you guys. Don't need to be.
When I worked for Mitchell County before, they allowed like a percentage of, what your current rate of pay was. And you could give, say, if it was, I don't remember the percentages, but say if it was, they allowed 5% increase per employee, and then you did your evaluation, the supervisor could say, you know, they get 1% or 2%.
Calculated a percentage of that.
And do it by a percentage there. That probably wouldn't work well for you this first year while you're trying to get it started, but once it gets started,
Well, or we could, I mean, we could do the math, I mean,
Well,
given the 50 cents.
on that, I also worked for Mitchell County, and I, like, my first year, I had gotten a raise, so say it was $1. If you believed that you were doing, I mean, the supervisor thought you were doing very well, you could get your whole dollar in January. Say you needed some time to work, they might give you 50 cents, and then throughout the year you progressed, they'll give you the rest of the 50 cents. Or they'll give you 25 cents of that. Does that make sense? So like you had throughout the year to show your improvement, and then therefore receive the rest of your raise.
and they did quarterly evaluation.
Yeah, they did quarterly.
Yeah.
So,
So I think
mean,
we need
that's
to
just
start out with,
right.
yeah, and I understand what you're saying, that makes sense, maybe that's where we could aim. But since we haven't done any,
Right.
I think we should do one this year. I like Dawn's idea, just set it to the middle of the year. And we did adjust the health insurance so that that's not gonna change, correct?
Correct, on the employee side.
Right,
the
but it does for
employer,
us.
Yeah, so right now, the employees are paying more than 10%, and the county's paying, less than 90, but in July, it will revert back the other direction. But, yeah, you left it so the employees are just even killed.
I think if we're gonna do something, say July 1st, I think the assessments need to be done in the first quarter, and then that gives
Oh, it's some time to look at
time to
them
review
and do
them.
the
Otherwise, they're
calculation.
gonna be coming in here the 1st of June, you're gonna be trying to review all those.
That's true. So we could do April 1st deadline, that would be the first quarter of the year, they have the next few months to get them done.
The only thing that I had thought about was if they were going to recommend dollar amounts, they'd probably want to recommend at the time that they were doing the evaluation, that's why I thought maybe.
I'm personally of the mindset that I think the department head should just be responsible for doing the evaluations, and then we choose a scale by which we can assign the increase. Because I think if you start taking into account each department head's numbers that they want to assign to specific employees, that gets a little convoluted. I think we just need to have a scale and say, if they're measuring within this portion of the scale, this is the dollar amount, or this is the numeric amount. Do you see what I'm saying?
That might make it easier for the department heads.
Yeah, I think it
So
takes
then
the
you would
pressure
do-
off of them too.
Right, you just go with their opinion and.
Right, I mean, we're already trusting their opinion to look at the evaluation.
Right.
So then to assign a number to it, I don't think that they should be assigning a specific number to each employee. I think we should be looking at the scale and saying they fall within this category.
Is there a numeric on that evaluation? I can't remember what the evaluation form looks like.
It has the,
Is it got like a numeric so that you guys can kind of see?
yes, like a 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then the self-evaluation I think is important too.
Okay,
Yes. Yes, right here, it's numeric,
okay,
and then the self-evaluation just has like good, fair.
Uh-huh.
okay. So we kind of have a plan of attack then?
I would also like to reiterate, because some departments have been much better than others about this, and you weren't here when we established this, but we had said in the beginning of this year, we would like to hear from the department heads monthly.
Okay.
In my opinion, that helps us maintain an idea of what is transpiring in what season of the year. We're not there as a part of that operation, so if we don't hear from them and get those kind of updates, it's kind of like, oh, well, that happened a few months ago, or, and certain department heads have been in here consistently, and that helps, and others have not been at all. So if we're going to base our evaluations on their evaluations, and it's a three-way process, I think we need to encourage them to be at least giving some update reports. And some of them have even brought in statistical reports of what they've done. And I know they do that sometimes annually, but just to keep an idea of what's current, it's much more helpful. So if you, I don't know how would you like to correspond with the department heads?
That was kind of my question, would you prefer I had like a monthly department head meeting and came to you guys and presented this stuff? Or would you prefer they presented it to you themselves? I can do either way.
I think the original motion was that they were supposed to come.
They
here.
come
Okay.
themselves.
And maybe we just set a day. where they'll come,
Like maybe the first Monday of the month?
like a 15-minute, half an hour period.
Do you guys have a certain Monday that's like a heavier load on you? Okay,
Depends on the time of the year and what's going on.
okay.
You know,
So-
sometimes, you know, parts of the year are really busy, parts of the year
I
aren't.
don't know why they wouldn't be staggered. I don't know why we need to see them all at the
Yeah, I
same
don't think
time.
we'd want them all in
I
one.
mean, I
That's
think,
true.
you know, see, maybe one every week, you know.
Okay,
I don't know how many there are, but we
They're
see
just not
Michael,
doing it on their own.
where, we see Michael anyway.
Yeah,
So we have the health
He's
and
been consistent.
the ambulance and the,
well, I can speak with them all and kind of get them on a rotating schedule if you'd
Yeah.
like.
I think that'd be a good
I
idea.
think Jerry thought he was supposed to be quarterly. Did you guys say us quarterly?
I don't,
That's probably,
Otherwise, I think
that's
we're not,
probably
we don't
sufficient.
supervise him
I-
anyway.
Yeah, he has the bus board to, but it's still nice to know what's going on. He did give us a count of runs and we were able to compare it to last year and
So what would you like to do about cost of living?
but let's finish this one concept. I think maybe Dee Dee, what you could do is send out mail, email, however you like to contact them all and just say, the expectation is that we get evaluations in by April 1st for your entire department. And please, you know, begin to attend of their choice one Monday a month to give a brief update.
Okay.
Just so that we can have a better concept of the current events in the department. Does that make sense? You
Yes.
could combine that into one.
Yep,
Mailing.
absolutely.
Thank you. So, we said 50 cents total budgeted.
Sounds like a squeaky chair.
I know. Just,
Is
I
she
guess it's
snoring?
a snore.
Bless her heart.
Did you say quarter is $44 a month, approximately?
Yes.
The 25 cents is
How
that
many
what?
employees do we have?
There's
We
probably
have 70.
72 on average.
And I'm just gonna throw this idea in here while we're discussing this. We do have some funds that are kind of, I don't wanna use the wrong term here, but we have some additional funds that we have set aside for certain things. And, you know, we'll have to look statutorily as to what can be moved around. But I do think we need to reconsider what we're doing with the EMS director as far as having it part-time versus full-time. And so, just for example, you know, we're gonna be saving a little bit of money if we're not giving out the merit-based raises until July 1st. So there's some cushion there, you know, as far as expenditures and what we have, because the big concern was how are we gonna pay for the health insurance if we had that full-time position. But there's also some scheduling manipulation that can be done if you did have a full-time position where that person is taking on 40 hours a week instead of 24. So, that being said, I just wanna keep that in mind. If we start right off the top, you know, having 25 cents for every person that's not allocated until July 1st, you said that's 44 a month per person. And how many did you say?
I would say 72 on average.
So that's $3,100 a month, you know, that's not going out until July 1st.
I will explain a little bit about that. So, budget laws allows county general to fund any any fund within that you're levying for, but you cannot cross funds back. So your ambulance fund can't go to pay for something for the health department. Your health department fund can't go to pay something for the highway department. The highway department can't pay, but the county general can pay for any of the funds. So that's what I would answer for that question. So if ever there was a time, it would have to come out of county general.
Okay, so my question is, all of the extra funds that we're gonna roll over as of December 31st, we put into our capital, improvement. And that's, when do we amend that for its purpose, we had, I think, like 10 purposes.
Most of the time it's only amended when you want to amend it, but you can look at it annually.
Because I'm just saying, that would be an option, correct? I mean, you could,
What you would do with that is you would take it out of that and put it back into county general and then pay for it out of county general.
could you put it directly into employee benefits, or do you need to,
I think it has to come back to the fund that it was drawn from. So
Okay.
it would have to go back to county general, and then you could use that money out of county, then you could say you'll allocate the health plan out of the county general fund.
because we put what, like 200 and...
Or you
it
could
was in here.
transfer from the county general to the health fund, you just can't go directly from the capital improvement fund to the employee benefit.
Okay, so it was 210,000 total, and so if we were looking at a family plan, we estimated about 24,000, correct?
Yes.
So potentially,
And the other thing I didn't think about with the 210,000 when we transferred it until this weekend is you guys had council on aging money that was not dispersed, so part of that 210,000 is going to be that money.
was it, I think it was what, 12,500 left? Is that what we did? We had 24 and then we distributed half of it, if I remember it correctly.
Okay, I didn't remember for sure, so.
Does that sound right? Wasn't it 4,000 and, well, how did we do that?
4,000 and 7
And 8,000
I think
or-
you're right, 7,000 something.
Okay, so 8 and 4 is 12. I don't know what we did with the extra. Well, no, we had 24 left,
Do one of you guys have?
or 25, I can't remember.
When do I have?
I think you have,
I
if you
have
don't
a
mind if I
budget,
borrow.
yeah.
Because it should have had its own line item.
I thought it was 12.5 is what was left.
14,500.
14.5.
So that will be part of that 210, if you guys ever decide to do something with it.
Do you know where we are on the nursing home budget as far as paying what we allocated for the pro forma budget and the attorney fees? Because we may need to.
We've only paid one of the attorney billings, and so I'm assuming there will be another one coming, and we have not paid any of the auditor. And my, or the, well, I call him the auditor, but the person you did to do the budget. My thoughts was we'll take that out of the county general fund until we have no more money left, or until March, and then after March, then we can take it out of that Fund 44. Or we can amend the capital improvement fund and take it out of that, too. I don't remember how much was left in their budget, but I think it was quite a bit. It had 18,000 remaining.
18,000 in Fund 44?
No, in the county general.
Oh,
So that would have been at the end of November, so whatever we had for
that
December
wasn't part of the
expenses.
210 that rolled over.
Well, it would be included. I mean, I left a little bit of a cushion for prior year expenses, and I left a little bit of cushion for that one, but
Okay. What's the month? 1080 hours? Is that what it is?
a year is 2040,
24.
or 2080, sorry. 2080, and then you
2080.
divide it by 12. And they normally always try to do even dollar amounts for the department heads that are salaried, so that's why we say $44, but I think it's like 43 something, something odd.
Well, it appears that if we give 25 cents, that will take about half of what we budgeted for. I guess on the downside of that is that facing increases in Social Security that were projected or were told in fall. It's about 2.2%, I think, which the 25 cents is going to be less than, well, it'll be around 2%, not quite. The total that we budgeted appears to be about 3% raise in across the board. If we did it, it'd be about a 3% raise. You're right, we will gain a little traction by delaying some till July. But if we put it on increments of 5 cents or 10 cents, we probably can do it. If we give a 25-cent across the board raise. I guess one of my feelings about the cost of living is that it does go up, and I think that's something we have to be mindful of. We have to keep our wages, our base wage, attractive. And that's the only way we change our base rate is by putting this cost of living increase in.
The hardest thing about increasing how we've been doing it in the past, where everybody gets the same cost of living and then we increase that base wage, is now you have employees that have been here 10 years making the same amount as employees that have been here 1 year.
Right.
So at least doing a merit increase will
We'll start moving that.
Yeah,
Right.
differencing that a little bit.
Well, last year it was a whole 50 cents. I mean, I think there's more incentive for people to want to reach that entire 50 cents, which they're capable of doing through their work instead of just through putting up with staying, or however you want to look at that. I mean, a lot of people just kind of stick to the same job knowing that if there is a regular increase, then they just stick with it. And that's not, I don't think we really want to promote. I think we just want to reward based on, I mean, I think that's the concept of the merit-based raise in general, is to reward based on the output and to have your employees want to be here and want to be productive because they know that it's going to gain them something, not just because they put their time in. So I'm not opposed to a cost of living raise. I know our health insurance plan went up, and like you said, there's going to be greater, well, there's a greater income tax, state income tax now this year too, so that's definitely plays a part.
I'd move that we increase salaries 25 cents as of December the 26th, was it, or?
Yes.
With the understanding that there will be merit increases available 1st of July. I would also include in my motion that the county commissioners be exempt from the cost of living increase.
I'll second the motion. Is there any further discussion?
Indirectly related to this, I guess what we haven't discussed is, are we going to have, okay, so my understanding is the cost of living is going to be across the board, even for elected officials, except for us.
Except for us.
Right, so the merit-based increase, is that going to apply to elected officials? And if so,
I think that's something we're going to have to decide in the future, how you're going to do that. I guess the elected officials primarily can increase increase those salaries by using their budget.
But we don't want to encourage them to manipulate
We don't want
the
to, we don't want to encourage them, yes, but that's why I think we have to have a very good working relationship with all the elected officials between ourselves, that we're all working together, and I don't think that's been abused in the past, but I think we need to be cognizant of that when we do the merit pay, so, you know, we may be looking for elected officials, I mean, they're not gonna be evaluated, we may need to adjust wages then too.
I ask on the department heads who does their evaluation.
We will need
You
to do this,
Okay, all right.
and we need to get started on those, yes.
Okay. Do you guys need the paperwork and all that from me? Do you want me to email that all to you?
Please.
Okay,
I'll need a hard copy, please.
okay, no problem.
Is there any further discussion? Not all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Real quick question while you're on this
Yes.
topic. EMS is a little different animal than most county departments in the fact that we have volunteers, part-time and full-time employees. What do you expect for evaluations as far as part-time and volunteer employees? Because when they do come in and cover, like say if we're going on a transfer, they come into the station and cover, they get paid an hourly rate for that. So I just wondered how that's gonna affect their increase in pay. And if
Well, I would
need to
say
evaluate
they
them.
need to be evaluated too.
Okay.
If they're gonna get a pay increase off the evaluation, they would somehow be evaluated.
Can
And I
I
think-
just make a suggestion? Okay, the volunteers have a pay resolution. So, I mean, we could still evaluate with them, but there's just very few volunteers left. What if we just move them to temporary part-time employees, so you use them when you need them and make them employees? And do away with that. Do all of them come in? I know Terry, you didn't, but you're not taking time.
No.
I don't go in,
Ours, a lot of the Sullivan guys don't come in.
yeah.
But if they respond, they get an hourly rate during the call.
Right, which is based upon that pay resolution. Okay.
So when we budgeted, did we count those as,
No.
it just
because
comes out of
pay-
that budget of their, okay,
Yeah.
yeah.
And I know my mom doesn't come to the station.
Is that under contract, is that under contractual that we pay that out of?
No, we pay it out of payroll.
In that department?
4,100
Okay.
line item, it comes out.
Okay,
It just, they have a pay resolution that you guys set, and the last one, it's been a while since we've updated it, which we probably should look at. But, so when they're volunteers, so they're taking call outside, they get X amount of dollars per hour, and then when they do go on a run, they get so many dollars per run.
okay.
But they don't get holiday time, they don't get anything like that, they just get pure time, so,
I
We can
apologize,
figure
I
that
wasn't
out.
aware of that.
yeah. So we can figure that out. But it probably wouldn't hurt to evaluate the volunteers anyways.
No, I think that's helpful. I mean,
That way they
it lets
know.
us know what their value is, really. I mean, and it's the same concept. I mean, some are more willing to come more often or put themselves out there or do take on extra tasks. While you're here, since we are going to be looking to you for leadership in the department temporarily at least, is there do you have a list of chores, so to speak, that anyone or everyone is supposed to perform during their shift?
There has been a list in the past, but it's not pushed by any means, and that's one of my things that I wanna get on, it will be more specific things, there'll be a list of things each day that you do.
It used to be, say, Monday was vacuum the meeting room, Tuesday was bathrooms, sweep and mop the bathrooms in the back hallway. Wednesday was clean the kitchen, Thursday was like clean the front hallway, and, I mean, there was bunk rooms, I guess it was vacuum, meeting room, and bunk rooms. And then Friday was the bay day, we always had to pull out the trucks, sweep them off the bay, to make sure all that was clean.
But
That's what it had been in the past.
so, just given that hypothetical situation, are certain employees always working though on a Wednesday or always, I mean, I'm just wondering
The
if
way our
that's,
schedule rotates, everybody works every day but Wednesday. Wednesday's our part-time day.
Okay.
So in a 3-week period, I work 6 of 7
every
days.
certain day of the
Yeah.
week you'll still, okay.
it
So that
rotates
makes sense
around.
that you assign it by the day, which task, okay. Cause I was just wondering, I mean, thinking,
Right.
well, maybe that's why some of it doesn't get done, if someone's always stuck on bathroom day, then.
Right. No, no.
Okay,
Well,
It varies.
and my plan is to delegate some tasks as far as putting one person in charge of this and one person in charge of that, and split up some of these duties to make them more evenly spread across the board, so Shiloh's not the one always getting stuck doing the inventory, and start doing a monthly inventory, which we have not done in the past.
Mhm.
Basically restock outdates, and that's it. But to implement a monthly inventory would be done on all 3
and you
trucks.
have your own policy book, is that what Brett Kingan was referring to when he said there was a policy about stating, I do not have that.
Policy about stating one.
About we had received correspondence from Brett and we asked him about doing the annual inspection and if that's coming up, what needs to be done. And he said there's a policy in the book, regarding if there is no director, one needs to be appointed within so many days.
That's a
That's
state.
a board of EMS.
Oh, that's a state, okay.
Yeah, there's
Okay.
actually a resolution number,
Do we have a Lincoln County policy book for EMS?
yes, it is.
Okay, I don't have that.
Protocol.
Well, we have a protocol book, but we also have a policy book. I would assume it's the same one everybody has. I don't know.
As the employee handbook.
Yeah, the employee handbook. I don't know if there was things added to it, like for EMS. I'm not sure.
Sorry.
Cause I know there's a thing in there about uniforms and stuff like that, so.
It just wanted to shine on me today.
You got an idea. It was.
God telling me something. With that being said, the handbook has to be amended at some point in time, so we know we didn't get that accomplished last year, but
Mhm.
hopefully. And I did not forget, I have emailed all the departments about what their cleaning was, and at some point in time I'll get on the agenda. I think I've got most of their replies back, so. I
How
just-
they're being cleaned or
Yeah.
who's taking care, okay.
So I didn't forget to, I know you said you wanted it on the agenda, get it on the agenda. So.
So then what we need to do next is figure out a scale, which if you can send us those evaluation forms and we can work on our own that we need to do for department heads, but then we need to figure out a scale between ourselves as far as, 10 cents, 15 cents, 25 cents, something like that. And where people may fall in that category for their raise as of July 1st.
Well, did you guys pass the 25% merit?
25 cents an hour.
25 cents, I mean,
An hour. Mhm.
Did you also do the COLA? You were talking about a COLA.
That was it.
Cost of living allowance.
That was.
That was
Oh,
it.
that is the cost of living, okay, I'm sorry. I
Right,
didn't know
so
that.
when we formulated the budget for 2019, for each employee, we allotted 50 cents total.
Okay.
So we gave the 25 as the cost of living.
Okay, that's the cost of
The
living.
other 25 will be, as of July 1st, it'll
It'll
start.
be a merit type thing.
Right.
Okay, that's fine,
Right.
thank you.
Some may get 10, some may get
Okay.
20, or
Thanks.
however we, yeah.
I wasn't real sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
And they haven't done this, as far as I know, in your terms, correct? You haven't done merit-based. So it'll be new for
Okay.
all of us at the same time.
So while Randy's speaking, and it's making me think, when do you guys want to change the realm next week? Normally we try to do it halfway through the meeting, which would put us, if we were scheduled 8 to 1 or 10 to 1, it puts us like at 11:30. Do we want to pick a time that we'll change out board members?
10:01.
I think you gotta stay there till 12, Terry.
Normally Michael's on the agenda at 11, I could push him back to 11:30, we could do it at 11, do the swear in. Regardless.
Well, I think if you don't do it if you wait until noon, the meeting's gonna be over. So I think if you're gonna do it, unless you're gonna have, I mean,
I don't care.
I mean, we'll have reorganization, so like, once you get sworn in,
Do you have anything on the agenda yet?
I have not done the agenda, that's why, and I had the newspaper calling and asking, and it throws us into around, normally we've done it at noon, and then the afternoon, the new member has taken over. So just to kind of figure it out.
well,
but-
there's no sense in, if there's not gonna be much on the agenda, there's no sense sitting in here for 2 hours doing nothing and then changing to
and
the
then
new
doing-
board.
So what if I would say 11, I'll have Michael come at 11:30, and then between 11 and 11:30, you guys can reorganize. Now, with that Public Building Commission, because Terry will be going off of that, we probably should have a meeting to where you guys could approve the past minutes.
So let's just put
Well,
that
schedule it
up.
in before 11.
Yeah, just put that up with our call to order,
Is that
agenda, minutes, but minutes of both.
Okay. And then, we'll get that taken care of, then Randy, we'll swear you in at 11, and then as soon as you're sworn in, then you guys can do your board reorganization. And then I think that's it, and we'll have you at 11:30, is that okay?
I believe that should work.
Okay, thank you.
You have anything else done?
No, the only other thing I had was the council on aging, but we can discuss that later, so, unless you wanna discuss it now.
You have also something about the telephone line. Let's just wait and we'll
Oh.
have them first. Is
The
that,
telephone line is just, we're doing a meeting on the 16th at 10 a.m. here, so that's the date that worked out well for all the department heads. And then, so any board member that wants to come can come. If there's gonna be more than 2 of you, I just need to know to notify the paper and the people that have asked, so.
what's the 16th?
It's a Wednesday.
Wednesday?
I won't be able to attend.
What
I have a
time?
meeting in Junction City that day.
At 10. And you don't have to come, it's basically, they're gonna kind of explain to the department heads what's happening and why we need to do something, and then maybe we can figure out what's best to move forward
Who is,
and get you
who is
bids.
coming?
Robert from Eagle Communications is
Eagle.
coming, and then Leon, who has our phone system, is gonna come. I figure he's a non-biased party that will help the department heads understand, because we could like do a hosted system where we go out and do all of that line people, but it's like online, and so if the internet's down, you have the phones. But there's so many different options apparently, so. I just wanna have the department heads help me come up with a plan of attack, so I know what I'm getting bids for, so that I'm making sure that I'm asking the same types, so.
Okay, Michael, let's go ahead.
Oh,
Good morning.
sorry.
Money.
I started driving pile this morning on 105, so hopefully in the next couple days they will be done with pile driving, and then we can go ahead and sheet the bridge and get it closer to being open. I believe they're going to do some pier pouring over on the Goldenrod Bridge this week also, so they're making progress. Looks like we got some decent weather here for a week or two, so hopefully both bridges we can make some good progress on. And received a phone call last week from a Cody Smith, who has requested a section of road be closed. And this would be 300th Road south of Bison. And I believe it dead ends where the state right-of-way is on I-70. It's currently a non-maintained open right-of-way.
Dealing with 2 landowners or?
Yes,
You said it's a dead end?
yes.
It's this section?
Yes, it dead ends into I-70 there, yes.
How many
first to, trying to recall who the other one was.
That's not that road down there that goes by Days where the billboard's already.
Must be.
Don't think so.
Is it
I think that was
310?
right on the county line,
That
wasn't
might have
it?
been 310.
Yeah, 'cause there's, but I believe it's the J. Kissick Trust that's on the other side, on the west side of that road.
Yeah.
But you haven't talked to them.
No, I have not.
Well, I would talk to them before we proceed.
Is he a landowner?
The Smith, yes. He's got it on the west side. I believe he's got 3/4 that's set in there vertically. Yeah.
You don't know whether there's farm ground though.
I don't believe there's any farm ground for either one of them. It should all be grass.
You know, I think we need to contact the Kissick Trust and make sure that.
Yeah, that should be easy if they agree.
You say J. Kissick Trust?
Yeah, that's what's in the book. Robert J. Kissick Trust. You want me to contact them, or do we want to do the process we do from mail out from?
I think we
board,
will
or-
contact before we mail out.
Okay.
I can give Bev a call and find out who's in charge of that trust. 'Cause isn't that Jay? Isn't that,
Yeah.
I think that,
That
because I'm not sure who, Todd,
Not a clue.
whether Todd is running that, doing that now or not. But I can call Bev. I think I have her phone number at home.
Okay.
You said that's 300th Road.
That's correct.
I'll try to get that done the next day or so.
That'd be great.
Speaking of contacting people, did you ever get a hold of Brian Taylor?
I have not yet, no.
Okay.
Hopefully things will slow down a little bit here now that we got Bob back and proceed.
hope we stay back there though.
What'd you say that guy's name? Brian Smith?
Cody.
Cody Smith.
Yeah.
It's on the top left on this one.
In the notes.
Top,
Oh,
yeah.
okay, all right.
That's all I have.
Yeah, I've been trying to catch up, going over the stuff from Michael, where we're at, what we had going and stuff here, so. Trying to get, figured out where we need to go right now. They're hauling some material out here to bridge here, 105 there to fix their ramp and stuff when they get to Piling Grove, so they can reach on across. And out blading in on some of the roads and whatnot. Yeah, working on a couple pipe, I guess it washed out or something up west there. This morning I haven't got up that way yet, so check it out, what we need to do with it. Other than that, I don't have a lot.
I know something I wanted to update you. Last week, we did the budget amendments with the leftover funds when we rolled them over for the end of the year. And so there was, I believe it was 180,000, and we split 90 and 90 between special machinery and special road. Is that what it was called, Don? Special road?
County road.
So my thought was, particularly with the special county road, Don said we hadn't really funded that in that manner for quite a few years. My thought with those particular funds is we could proceed with getting some bids on doing some tuck pointing and some stone work on some of these stone arch bridges. I feel like it could only behoove us to just at least get the numbers on paper and get some people interested who would do that kind of work. And we could pick a region, you know, and that would be up to you, where the most need is and where we could have, you know, a specific geographical location and say there are 6 bridges within this area, and have that firm or whoever's going, that particular individual. I mean, I don't know what we have to do as far as getting someone who's bonded and, you know, able to perform that kind of work. But even if it was going to take them a year, at least we could get all of that on paper and see what we need to spend. And out of that fund, we could at least pay them for their process of creating all of their plans. Do you see what I'm saying? I mean, they may give us a bid just to give us a bid, but if we do need specific plans, some engineering plans, etc., we could fund it through that, and that may not be enough to cover what needs done in that particular area, but it's at least a start. And so now we have some funds set aside to do that. I would really like to see that get started, because it's going to take a while just to prep all of it before we even get some of that material purchased or whatever we may need, you know, for the actual work to be done.
Yeah,
So I don't know how far 90,000 will go, but I think it's a good start.
we'd do quite a few bridges probably,
I think we need
as
to,
far as tuck pointing.
right, if you particularly could assign, you know, by intensity, you know, this one really needs a lot, or this one needs the least. We
This-
could even start from the least needing to the most and get some of those smaller projects done and out of the way, and we know they're good for a decade or two.
Yeah, this
And
month,
I got a pretty good list in here, the ones that the guys have given me and stuff, and the ones I've seen that we could do something to work on, so.
I mean, I know in my area, that upper northwest quadrant has quite a few. I don't know how that compares to some of the other areas.
Yeah.
But there are quite a few in there that could be salvaged, and if we don't work on it now, we're just gonna look at more cost later.
yeah, this month we should be receiving our biennial bridge inspections, and they should be notified on those as far as the bridges go. It won't have our
The small
culvert
culverts,
size,
right?
but
Well, and you guys
We'll
could
have
just
a good
amend
list
that
there.
list. You
Yes.
could, right, work with that and make your own list, and, I mean, who knows, we may be able to get 6 or 7 of them done just with that amount of money, if there were minimal repairs. And I would like to note, there's, along that same line, there are some issues with tree trimming. I've just been observing over the last couple of months, particularly when we were talking about I always forget the number, 65 bridge, OS 65. I mean, we have trees growing that their roots are now up under the foundations of the wing walls, and you know, some of those trunks are several years old, and they need to be taken care of because it's just causing us future damage. So I don't know how you assign tree trimming issues. I mean, I know once in a while you'll have a crew and that goes for several miles on one particular road, but the trees that are growing up under and in the waterways, they really need to be taken care of on some of these bridges, because I think they're just causing us issues that we're gonna be paying for later.
I had them working on some of them last year, cutting some out was growing out from under the bridges. It hadn't had anything done for a long time, so. Trying to get everywhere around it. Takes a while to catch all of them, but.
I know it can't all be done at once, but I would like to see a plan of action. I know you use, like your truck drivers will help cut when they're not driving, et cetera, because you're not hauling gravel, and I know that you have to work some things around, but, I mean, either you need to require the motor grader operators to give you a list and identify particularly what needs done or what a priority is, or you need to do it and then tell them that they, I mean, it has to go one way or the other. Either there needs to be an identification on the outlying individual, or you need to identify it and then the work needs to be done by the outlying individual, one or the other.
This time of year, we usually try to address most of our tree cutting. We have not got a lot done due to the conditions of the ditches and the safety of it and whatnot, but I think that we're gonna start swinging that way with this nicer weather, so.
Now, do you supply each rural station, I'll call it, with their own tree trimming equipment? Like, I know we had a saw stolen at one point in Vesper or somewhere. So when two motor grader operators share a station, I'll call it, what do you call them?
Outline shops.
Yeah, the shop. When they share that, are they all provided with their own tree trimming equipment there? I mean, is that the idea?
Yeah, they have a chainsaw for each shed.
Okay. And so if they needed additional machinery to, move things, whether it be a skid steer or something like that, is that something they can request and have?
Yeah, like I say, they kind of take care of their own, but we try to send out, like I say, if truck drivers and stuff are not busy, send out them to help different locations and help out.
But ultimately, you're kind of saying you want them to take the initiative to say, this is a project we can do on our own, we have our own tree, we can request an additional piece of equipment, we can schedule this between our two drivers because we don't need to blade on these 2 days or something like that.
Yeah.
In theory, that works best.
Okay.
It's just one of those daily maintenance things, if they're not blading, that they should be able to go take care of.
Well, how often do you think they're doing that?
Probably not often.
Not enough. Some of them do and some don't, like I say.
Okay. So how do we get that expectation more even across the board?
It's hard to kind of get it all worked in. Some of them are a lot better by taking it on their own to do that stuff than others, so keep after them that you need to do this when you got time.
Well, we did withhold 25 cents on the 50-cent raises for merit-based pay, so maybe that needs to be explained to everyone that, they're gonna be evaluated. We did ask that you will have your evaluations done, you'll hear from Dee Dee, but that you'll have them done like the first quarter of the year, so that by the middle of the year, we could assign a numeric increase to each employee based on how they're being evaluated. So maybe that's something you could have a department meeting about, or explain, send out a memo in their paycheck. I don't know what
I've
the
been
answer
working
is.
on the evaluations.
Mhm.
I've got about half the employees.
Okay. Do they know that we're planning on doing merit-based raises this year?
It's been discussed, the possibility of,
Okay.
this is the first we've known that it's
Right,
gonna happen.
so now you at least know from us that that's gonna
They've-
happen.
They've heard the probability of it several times.
Okay. And I would just ask that you be extremely blunt and honest with us when it comes to those, because we want to encourage them to have higher output based on knowing that they're going to be rewarded for it financially.
Well, I told them if we're doing these evaluations, this will be part of your basis for a raise later on.
Mhm.
So what I put down here is gonna affect that, so you need to be looking to do what you need to do better, improve on it right now. So, Okay.
So that will be a 25-cent cost of living and 25 cents that will be discretionary
Attainable.
based on merit. Okay.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Very well.
In July first, right?
Yes. Yeah, it would be for the June 26th paycheck. Right? Does that make, or no?
It wouldn't be
No.
for the whole year? Is it gonna be retroactive for the
No.
whole year?
No.
It'll just
It'll
start
be for the
then?
second half of the year.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is that
So
a
that would
plan
be
that you
As of
are
July
considering
1st.
doing in the future like that? Where you'll get
I
like,
believe so.
okay, 25 cents at the first of the year, potentially, and then 25 cents up to and merits come mid-year.
Well, we did that this year because we don't have any
Get the
evaluations yet.
process started.
Okay,
Since we have no evaluation, we have one
Yes.
department that's finished.
understandable.
Yeah, so then once we get all of them, then we can apply that to everyone's paycheck at the same time. Whether they get 10 cents or 25 cents, based on how their performance has been and what your evaluations say, then they'll get that for the remainder of this year, which gives us a little bit of a cushion with what we budgeted for a total of 50 cents. So the cost of living is effective as of December, well, the next payroll that's coming. So that cost of living comes in for the whole year.
Okay.
And there was a motion to make it 25 cents, which is 50% of what we budgeted. So, that could change, or maybe next year it won't be done in the middle of the year, maybe it will be done by the end of the year, I don't know, I guess we have to discuss that,
I was just curious if there's a plan in place yet.
yeah. But even if we decided to stick with the middle of the year, at least what they get this July continues through for a whole year.
Yes, no, I
And then
understand.
next July,
Yes.
it would, that may actually
I'm
be a
sure
good
they'll-
idea.
I'm
Just-
sure there'll be questions, so
Mhm.
if I have some answers for them, they'd appreciate it. So.
Right. Yeah, cost of living effective immediately.
Okay.
And then July 1st would be their additional raises. Up to another 25 cents.
So in theory, we should be able to save on our budget
25 cents a piece for 6 months.
for 6 months, and then even beyond the merit increases if they do not achieve it. So.
Correct.
Okay.
I'm sure there'll be a little bit of leeway there with some not gaining the whole 25 cents.
Sounds good. That's all I have.
Did you happen to look at any, you were talking about replacing trucks about a month ago. Did you look at any comparable used vehicles?
I have not had a chance to do that.
Okay.
I don't even know where to start looking for a used setup that would be worth going after, if you know what I mean.
Right, but you did find that chip sealer, that was a good deal. So there's something potentially, even if we don't replace all of them brand new, and some of them are new and some of them are used, I think we need to look at having a little bit of flexibility there. Another thing that was brought to my attention, are we advertising for the sale of our equipment before we actually post it for sale? I mean, I think in the 2 years I've been here, you've only used Purple Wave.
That's correct.
We haven't done any other, well, we're talking about doing a private sale now to Sylvan, or I don't know if you want to call it private, but a sale direct.
Governmental sale.
Okay. So, before we list things to Purple Wave, are we doing any kind of notification? Or Dawn, do you know, are we required to? That's kind of the question that's.
I believe Purple Wave
Just
advertised.
advertising, so that meets our requirement when we sell them to the
I don't know if you were in your position that you're in now, but there are some people that have purchased county equipment, even locally. How was that done? Do you know? Is that,
It used to be done with sealed bids, I believe.
Yeah. Years
so
ago,
you
they did
list
it
the
by sealed bids.
machine and then you ask for sealed bids?
I believe that's,
Yeah, they advertised
It's the only way.
the equipment,
It's
and
gotta
took
be.
sealed bids, but
Okay,
that was before Purple Wave came along. Once Purple Wave came along, they
okay.
used to sell those old patrol cars for $200 or $300 on a sealed bid, and they've gone to $1,500, $2,000 on Purple Wave, so.
And as a private person, you can bid on Purple Wave?
oh yeah,
Yeah,
anybody.
Yeah, anyone can bid.
Okay.
We gotta get a number, but, you gotta be registered.
Okay. Thank you.
When I know there's stuff up, I try to put, like when he tells you, I try to put it in the minutes, so then that way, if a resident wants to know, they can go to the Purple Wave in case they missed the advertisement.
I think Purple Wave lots of times puts an ad in the
Yeah.
paper too.
I don't put everything that you guys sell, but Michael has said that there'll be things on
Yeah.
Purple Wave, so then that way,
In the minutes, you mean?
yeah, hopefully that alerts people who are reading them. I don't know if people read them.
I believe they put an ad in our local paper.
Yeah, they usually do.
Pretty sure they do.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Once you list, then they go to your local paper?
Yeah.
Did you happen to have a follow-through conversation with Steve Bohr about getting maintenance records to compare the graders, or just out of curiosity?
I visited with him a little bit and I got some information off of his motor grader. I just have not heard back from anyone on a value to
Like
give
discussing
them,
price or
or,
anything?
you know, and
'Cause
it's
I
gonna be
know-
hard for them to tell us, an actual price, you know, they look at trade-in pricing and stuff like that, which isn't the same as what we may wanna ask, you know, it's just gonna be,
What are you considering doing? Taking theirs and then listing it with?
no,
No,
we'll
They're
just,
gonna
we'll
sell them
dispose,
as their own.
we'll
Okay.
dispose of ours to them for
Okay.
whatever you guys agree on, and them disposing of theirs will be their responsibility.
Okay.
we don't wanna be the middleman on their
No, but-
antique road grader.
Steve was just wondering if there was a way that they could kinda give them an idea
You don't want a
on what
tinker
theirs
toy?
was. We've had them here before. So, you know, that's where we're at on that. Alright, anything else this week?
I don't believe so.
Alrighty, thank you all, and
Have some warmth for a change.
we will. I'm ready for it.
Did you come in to see us, Jennifer, or?
Yes. I needed an executive session on the issue of Lincoln Park Manor for about 15 minutes.
Thank you.
Is this, additional correspondence from Mr. Hay?
Yes.
Okay.
Do you want my little cheat sheet?
Yes. I have yours somewhere, but I would have to dig.
I have to make some more
Oh,
copies.
he has one right here.
Do you have one?
Yeah,
Yeah.
thank you. Okay, I move to recess into executive session. Jennifer, a time
15 minutes, I think, would be sufficient.
for 15 minutes to discuss new correspondence from Attorney Hay on Lincoln Park Manor pursuant to KSA 754319 2B. Number 2, for consultation with an attorney for the public body or agency which would be deemed privileged in the attorney-client relationship. Commission and attorney. And if I may, the only reason I'm saying that is not to exclude, but it's been brought to our attention that if you have attorney-client privilege, it has to be the attorney and the current client. So next week. Sorry.
I'll second. Is there any further discussion? Not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye. Thank you.
I didn't ask Eric, I didn't.
Thank
contact
you.
him because, I wasn't gonna call, if you guys weren't interested in doing that, I wasn't gonna contact him to find out what it would cost, but, the doors are one thing, but the walls above the doors and all that is what the concern is, and I just really think it needs to be done right because of who we're dealing with.
Well, my concern is we already paid $70-some thousand to the engineer.
But those were for preliminary drawings and stuff. There's a difference between preliminary drawings and actual construction drawings and stuff.
I know, but I'm saying for that kind of money, I would expect that they would have the correct input on the fire doors. We were just discussing, there's a fire door issue.
They didn't do any construction drawings on it. There's all the preliminary assessments and all that stuff, but each opening is gonna have to be assessed. You guys do what you wanna do. That's just my recommendation. Like I say, I'm not gonna be here, so, but from my experience in the construction phases of this stuff, I think you better do it that way.
What he's saying is that the company that we awarded the bid to wants engineering, structural, architectural input on the fire rating for the walls and the surrounding area where these doors are going in. So what is the difference here in the pricing that they're saying? I mean, what if we just went with the highest rated throughout? Is that higher than the bid that they gave us?
No. But
So then I don't understand what the problem is.
that's only covering the door. That's what they're saying.
Right, but that's all we bid to them was to replace the doors, not to come through and do anything structurally.
But the wall has to have, the wall has to have a fire rating. It's an opening, and it has to have a fire rating too, is my understanding, is what they're saying.
So then can't we contact the fire marshal and have them come and do?
They don't do that.
Well, then who would be the authority on that?
Well, they can write you up if they discover something that's not right, but
But
Is
you
there
can't
some
request an
inspec-
inspection?
Is there some inspector after you, that certifies that once it's done or something, Terry? Like when,
and it, well, they come and look at their part of it, but they don't engineer it.
so we
I
have
mean,
to,
it's just
you have
fire
to have some
inspection.
engineering drawings and then we go off of that, is that what you're saying?
They have to assess the opening and say that, yeah, it's all right.
And then when they actually, after they do the construction, say after that, then is somebody there to certify that this is complies with
They just,
some rule or
yeah,
law?
they just come in and check your records to see if it's certified or if the doors have the tags and different things like that on them.
Okay.
But they don't actually do.
Nobody certifies the completion of that work though?
No.
Saying that these guys did the correct job on
The company, like
putting
he
that
would
door
certify
in
what
there.
the company
Say
already
you put
did.
the doors in there, and somebody says, then some government guy comes in and says, this is certified for whatever?
No, because they're basically following the specs of what we told them to bring in as a bid.
Yeah.
And so then they just perform the work. But my concern is we've already paid over $70,000 to an engineering firm who went through the entire structure of the building and was
They
supposed to
didn't
do.
do construction drawings on it.
And I would
We
think for
stopped them.
$70,000 we could simply request that for the doors to be
Well, you
completed.
can request it.
Well, they
You
may
can
not do
request
it
it.
now if you didn't have that originally in your contract with them to do it, right?
Well, here's the problem. We've never received one drawing from him. We have not. There is nothing that I have received for $70,000. Not a piece of paper or anything. Just his assessment verbally. I mean, Don, we don't have those schematics that he provided as far as what he
brought in a
gave to
bunch
the.
of stuff, but I don't know what happened to it.
I don't think he left.
He
the
did not
ones
leave a
that you guys
thing.
looked at on the desk that first.
No, and then when the
I think there
thresholds
was.
weren't appropriate for walker use, we paid for 2 sets of thresholds. So I'm not very pleased with the services provided there.
Well, find somebody else then, but you need to do something on it. I don't give a damn what you do. Like I say, I'm only gonna be here for a week, so you figure it out, but you need to get somebody, you need to get a professional involved in this thing, I'm telling you.
And what I'm saying is there's already one involved who needs to be accountable for his $70,000 that he is receiving. I'm sure there are plenty of firms that would love that deal. I'll call him.
If Finally, I'll do it for free. I'm sure there's a lot of other people who would like to know about it, so.
He's been paid, or at least most of it has been paid.
What else we got? We got anything else to do?
There's one thing I would like to at least just preliminarily discuss. There doesn't have to be a solution to it today. In fact, I may need to get some more information to verify what I've been asked to address. But Terry, since you do go to hospital board meetings.
Do what?
You've been going to the hospital board meetings as commissioner. I have been asked to verify whether or not there's a conflict of interest between one of the appointed members and the hospital board. You know, we as the commission appoint the hospital board members, and the hospital board oversees the financial aspects of the hospital and hires the administrator, etc. It's been brought to my attention that there may be a person who we've appointed to the board who gets financial compensation from the hospital, so they're serving as a board member and receiving a contractual compensation for services provided to the hospital. And so that would clearly be identifiable as a potential conflict of interest, because there's monetary exchange there between someone who's making decisions as a board member and then receiving compensation from that same pool of money. You know, I don't know how thoroughly we've looked into that in the past, but I would like to know, you know, is that what's going on? Do we need to replace that particular member so that we're not condoning that type of behavior?
I think that was looked into at the time that the person was appointed, and he's not an employee, and he cannot vote on anything that has to do with his contract.
Okay,
Otherwise, it was given clearance, so
okay. So it is
Prior to
it's a
him being-
contract then?
it's a contract, yeah. But that was looked into before he was appointed.
There was also some concern that there were some executive sessions recently with the hospital board, and it looks like there were some actions taken in the executive session because there was nothing done in the open meeting, or at least it wasn't reported by the paper in the open meeting that these actions were taking place. So we've had some employees of the hospital board be given extended leave, paid leave time, and it looks like this was done as an action in an executive session. Now, my understanding is there is some exemption from coma for the hospital. I'm not sure how that particularly works. I don't even know if you're not considered a board member,
No.
or are you? Okay, so you
No,
wouldn't have been in on executive sessions?
No.
Okay.
Typically, they say their executive sessions to the end of the meeting, and I leave, so I don't know what they do
Mm-hmm.
after they come out of the executive session. So I don't think I've ever, in the last few years anyhow, I don't think I've ever been there when they came out of an executive session.
Okay.
Normally they have them reserved for the end of the meeting,
Okay.
so I couldn't answer that question for you.
Do you know any of the particulars about their required compliance with Kansas open meetings or open
I do
records? Okay.
I would assume that anything that has to do with HIPAA.
Right, no, not that, just, compensation and decisions made by the board for employees. Or if the financial transactions, like, let's say that contract, if that is subject to Cora, I don't know, but I'll put one in as a request and see.
I would say it is, but I don't know.
Okay. I just wanted to at least address that while you were still here, since you're the one that's been following that group. And then the other group, Dawn, you had on here was the Council on Aging,
Yes,
and you had a list of people who wanted to,
yes, it's on that yellow sheet with the new people.
Did you talk to
And then
anybody on
the back page.
What?
Council on Aging appointments.
No, I didn't. Was I supposed to talk to somebody? I guess I slipped that through me. If I was.
We have District 2, are these by commission districts then?
Yes.
Is that what this means? So District 2, Kathy Moss, and,
I don't believe they're by commission districts. I think
Yeah.
they have their own districts.
No,
They used to,
They
but-
changed their bylaws and they went to One from each district and 2 at large or something.
Yes.
This says at-large Jeannie Freeze, and then District 3, Jeannie Freeze.
That's just,
That's on this one. It's
Oh,
at-large
okay,
on
that's
this
the
one,
same.
and then District 3 at this one.
Yeah, she's on there twice. One is District 3.
Oh, they're
and
both
one
on
is-
here twice. At-large Kathy Moss. And then,
he brought one in and laid it, and then he brought the other one in. But then,
Yeah, but
Michel,
Sending it.
May I address the council on this?
I guess so.
Whoever you are, commissioners. A few months ago, Terry, you were at the council meeting when we talked about what positions would be open. And I just, as for future reference, I think it would be a good idea to keep track of the commissioners, to keep track, and I'll have one for you too, Randy, of when somebody comes in and when their term is up.
Needs to go to Dawn,
Yeah, I'll
because
get
we
one.
have,
I'll get
we
one
have
to
a
Dawn,
folder
too.
that has that stuff in it, all
Okay.
the appointments.
Okay, I know, because at one time, we have a problem with one having a 3-year term and not just a 2-year term because of whatever happened. So if you'll read through here, Jan, who was the president, can no longer be on the council. And Liz Winkler did not apply to be on, so she's not on it. Charlene DeWitt, and it tells their district that they're in too on here, on this information. This was
according to
passed
the
out-
commission district, is that what
According to the commission district, they passed bylaws maybe 4 or 5 months ago, and they made it like the exact map that you have of your District 3. You would have 2 representatives, District 1 would have 2 representatives, District 2 would have 2 representatives, and there'd be number 7 would be an at-large member. And so this tells you who is there now and who can apply and how much longer they can apply. Charlene has 1 more year, Charlene Watson has 1 more year, and then that position becomes open and she cannot be on it anymore. Charlene DeWitt is off of it now. Nancy Nitch can apply, I'm assuming she's applied for another 2-year thing, she should have an application in there on a letter. And Judy Alvers can apply for another 2-year. It's the 2nd year of her 1st term, so she can apply for another 2-year term for District 1. And Bob has hit end of his 2nd term, he can apply for another 2-year term. And Marge Snyder, this was her end of her half of her first 2-year term, and at the end of 2019, she can apply for another 2-year term. So I hope, if there's any clarification on that. You need time to read through it and to understand it, I understand. And that the bylaws state that there's 2 representatives from each commission district with 1 at-large member. Members have to live in the district they are representing. There should be a total members of 7 on the council. The openings are to be advertised with the hope that candidates will be considered a fair, inclusive understanding by the council. Robert's Rules of Order were adopted as the parliamentary procedure, and applicants to the council are requested to know and practice parliamentary procedures in order to conduct their business.
Were these openings advertised?
Yes, they were advertised, and I understand that a
By the
person,
council?
they were
Okay.
advertised in, and I have a copy of the
Yeah.
advertisement. It was supposed to run 2 weeks in a row with a date where they were supposed to be turned in to the president. At the time that they were supposed to be turned in at the November meeting, there had only been 2 applicants.
Okay.
One had applied from District 3 as either a District 3 representative and or a at-large. The other
Is
applicant,
that Jeannie Freeze?
no. The other applicant had applied for District 1, but she doesn't live in District 1, she lives in District 3. And I'd hoped that that had been
Okay.
corrected. I don't know if it had.
Well,
We only have two plus Charlene Watson's continuation is all that we received.
And that was my fear. And I think that, as county commissioners, you have time before you decide these kinds of things, that you want to be fair in your appointments, and people that apply by the rules, whatever those are, or the bylaws, what the bylaws state. The bylaws have always stated that a term is 2 years from the beginning of time. I'm not here to say whether or not there should be a council on aging even, okay? Or an area coordinator. That's not what I'm doing. All I'm trying to do is share the information as it has been presented in the last 2.5 years that I've been there going.
Right.
So I wanted to make clear who would be on here. There is no automatic
Renewal.
automatic renewal.
Got it.
And that's why they were just trying to make accountability be there, so that you weren't always relying on the minutes, which you should be able to rely on minutes because they are your record that can go to court. They are your official documentation.
This still isn't clear,
Yeah, it
because we
doesn't-
have the same person for District 3 is at large, and we have the same person District 2 is at large.
Right, and
I'm
and
gonna
I-
make
we
a
brought this- I
suggestion.
brought this up at the November meeting, and it did not go
Yeah.
anywhere.
I'm gonna make a suggestion, because this is so ambiguous, and because this is not accurate as far as who's, where, what, or,
Well, this
First
is
of all-
accurate, this is out of their bylaws, and this
no,
is
I
out of their
understand,
minutes.
but I'm saying, what
But-
this is saying
but
does
they
not
have
reflect
not-
what they're requesting for us to do. So
I
I'm
understand.
saying, my suggestion is, number one, that we request a copy of their bylaws, so that the commission can see what's been approved. And then, I would also like to see a mission statement from this group, because there has been so much confusion and overlapping and unrecorded activity that has gone on, and the money that has been spent or not spent, and that is in a bank account currently for this group, has no purpose. It has no identifiable purpose anyhow by this particular group. And if we're going to continue to commission money to them, literally, I think we need to see what it's supposed to go to. As far as what I've witnessed personally from that particular council, it has changed purposes many times. I know that it's continually gone to the senior centers as the bulk of what they're funding, but they've also been funding their own activities, which seems to be nothing more than hiring a full-time person to be in a particular office, which has changed locations. And from what I understand, 2 months in a row, this group made the motion and approved to notify their landlord that they would be leaving, and then they did the same thing the next month. So they never notified the landlord, they didn't leave, then they made the same motion to notify and leave, and
They
had
did
they
it
left,
officially in November and gave him 30 days.
but they had done it the month
Whatever.
prior.
They had talked about it the month before, but there had been no motion made, so there was no.
It wasn't an actual motion. Okay, then I
Apparently
misspoke.
not. Well,
But I guess what I'm saying
again,
is
sometimes the
there's,
minutes aren't reflective of what actually goes on, which is why it's very important to video meetings.
yeah, so what I'm saying is I think we need a clarification of the
Exactly.
purpose of this group. We
Back
need to
in-
see their bylaws, and I would even ask for a mission statement, because
Absolutely, and they wrote a mission statement, and it's had a mission statement. When you apply to be a 501c3, you must give a mission statement on it. So it's very easy to come up with that information. They had a training. Not everybody went to the training. 2 people were given the opportunity to have the training again just separately, one-on-one, and they chose not to do that. I think that's a huge red flag.
So let me ask you this, since you probably know more than we do. Jan,
I wouldn't go that far. There's 3 of you.
well, about this particular process, Jan Dallin, you're saying, has finished 2 terms.
Actually, she's been there 6 years. So again, this is the reason I'm saying,
Yeah,
let's
it needs
clean
clarified.
this up.
Okay, so regardless, she should be ineligible for another consecutive term.
Correct.
Okay, so that's
For
District
District
2. Now, was that advertised and then,
Yes. I have the advertisement, but I
Where's
don't have
District?
copies
and
of
then
it.
does that mean Kathy Moss is in District 2
I
and she
have-
applied?
She's in District 2,
And did,
She's in
Okay.
District
but she's
2,
also at large
I
there.
know, I don't
so.
understand that.
and she was an officer for the senior center. So my question is, has she resigned that? Because you cannot be sitting as an officer in a senior center and be on the council.
Receiving money from the
Because
council that
that is a
appoints the money.
conflict of interest, which you just discussed with the hospital board.
Mhm. Yeah,
I
so
can get a
Dawn,
copy of the
can we
ad.
ask you to send them correspondence? Do they have a new office? Do they have a
We're
location?
using a room in the Lincoln Senior Center.
Okay, so they are back to the senior center, at least for now. So could we address them a letter and ask them for their bylaws and their mission statement and a clarification on who,
I have that information, which I'd be happy to give to you, but I
I
still
know, but I
think
think
we
we need it
should-
from them.
I
Yeah.
agree, and I don't know who you contact anymore, if you're contacting Jan, because they have not elected new officers. They were waiting to see who would apply. And like I said, there were only 2 people that applied, and that one, they didn't honor that applicant.
Well, and my concern
Which
is,
is
we
interesting.
received this notice which has 3 people on it.
Okay.
But apparently, with the rotation of the year, we should be looking at all of the seats.
Well, let's
Which
go
is what
through
I told
here.
you last week, the people that were up,
Who indicated that they would continue.
yes.
Okay,
But there's not that in writing, apparently. So it was
For
all
God's
agreed
sakes,
upon at the
we don't
council
need-
that they would apply.
Charlene Watson, Robert Loveless, and Nancy Nitch.
Okay, but that still only
Char-
makes
Charlene
5 or
Watson
6.
is District 2, and she has 1 year remaining before her position comes open again, and she cannot serve again. Nancy Nitch is on District 3, so she's filling one of District 3's positions.
So she said yes, right, Dawn? You said
Those three.
Bob, Charlene, and Nancy all said yes. So she's on there, so that only makes 5.
Well, but see,
Because she's there as one of the.
Marge is already on there. She just
one.
had, yeah, she's District 1. So you have Judy Albers and Marge Snyder on District 1.
Yeah, but their
That's
seats are open because no one.
Well, no,
Oh, you're saying
Marge-
they're in
Marge
the
is
second year
there,
of their
right.
first term. I'm
Right, so
sorry.
they're there. And then Nancy, I don't know if she applied or not, because I don't see it in writing, is District 3, and
She
then you should have
contacted
another
us.
District 3.
Well, that would be who they're asking for on. But it says District 3 and at large.
But again, you do need, if a body of people make a decision to have people apply to it, and they don't apply, and they're just doing it by calling a county clerk, really, does that let the council know who's going to be on there?
But you said it was advertised, though.
It was advertised, and they didn't turn their applications in. There was
Well,
only
I
2
don't need to
people
be
who
mean,
did.
but aren't they a not-for-profit organization that has
Yes.
their own bylaws?
Yes,
So if they have their own bylaws and they are appointing their board members, and you guys are just subsequently appointing and
Yeah, but-
approving them,
but
Are we
they're-
appointing
You don't even have to.
District
Yeah.
2 or at large or?
Yeah, it's not very
Exactly.
clear.
Convoluted
Exactly.
mess
It's not
there.
clear.
and
yeah.
there's the chance
well, why
of
didn't somebody say
discrimination
something
against
when
it.
I've asked Bob Loveless the last 2 weeks and he was just here earlier? I mean, come
Well,
on.
I
people.
have said
Well, we
something,
weren't
and I
talking
was in the
about it at
meeting
that
about
time.
it.
We had other business going on because he wasn't on the agenda and neither was this.
Yes,
Yeah,
it was.
They,
No, it wasn't, it was
but
just
they,
this time.
but I think instead of you being the in-between, which is not your
I'm just
responsibility.
getting sick of it. They're a non-profit organization that you guys shouldn't even be appointing to. I'm sorry. They
I
should
don't
have their
dis-
own
I don't
bylaws,
disagree
they
with
should be
you.
appointing it.
Or you,
It gets more
according,
screwed
I don't
up all the
disagree.
time.
according
I think they
to
need to be
the
disbanded.
laws, it's the
Well, we don't
county
have to fund it.
commissioners
It
that
doesn't
make
have
those
to be
decisions.
funded, I can tell you
That's-
that.
There you
That's
go.
correct, it doesn't
That's
have
very
to be
true.
funded, that's correct,
Right.
that is correct. But the thing is
So
you're
let's
in
just
it
put a
now.
hold on this and we'll see what they do.
I mean,
Because it's not our responsibility.
I'm not
ultimately.
gonna be here, but I think the whole senior center, council on aging mess needs to be looked at, because I'm telling you.
I agree, and that's why we've tried to do
I've sat here
trainings.
and
We've tried
watched
to
them
do
fight
lots of
over that
things.
money, and
It's ridiculous.
there's other places that
I
money can be
agree, and
used.
and how do you get inclusiveness through the whole county when certain people do
Okay.
not follow that they're only there 2 years? And then they're calling people and all of a sudden they're automatically renewed or
What
appointed?
about the people
And
that's
it
calling
puts,
somebody for an
excuse
hour
me,
and a half,
Dawn, excuse
pounding
me.
at them, telling them that they're not supposed to be
It-
on a board?
Okay, but if you just say that it's not your responsibility, that would take care of that. If it is, it comes back to the commissioners though, responsibility, and what I'm trying to say to don't make a discriminatory decision here or prejudice against people who applied by what the bylaws say to do. That's what I'm saying, and
Well,
that's
then-
why you need copies of the bylaws.
What we may need to do is inform them that they need to omit it from their own bylaws that we have any appointing duties whatsoever.
That's true.
And then they can stand on their own, and if they come to us requesting grant money out of the senior fund, then we may or may not allot any particular amount that we deem necessary. But
Which-
it's not a necessity that we fund their operation and
I
co-appoint.
don't think it has ever been that. If you read the
No.
charter or the mill levy, I don't think it's ever been. I think you did that as trying to be accountable for taxpayer money. But maybe it became a little bit,
Well, and I will say Jennifer
Shenanigans.
O'Hara has indicated that she will follow up on the charter resolution issue, that we don't have the original. So I've brought that up a couple times, and I know she's been occupied with some other issues, but she said she will continue to look into that. So hopefully we'll have some sort of indication as to what our responsibilities actually are with
and
that money.
also again, that they are supposed to honor Cora requests. And I've requested for the minutes for the last 2 years and still have not got them. And they're also, I've requested to be notified when meetings are and special meetings, and I have not got them. So
Very dysfunctional.
again, I would really, they did a training, but where it fell, I don't know. Any other questions on this area?
Do we need to make an appointment to the Flint Hills before our February appointments, John?
Technically, I believe, yes, I think it expired on December 31st.
Flint Hills,
Council
Area
on
Agency
Aging.
You had the reminder.
We have a meeting coming up,
For
and
Flint's
also the
Station.
area.
Didn't we get a letter
the
from
CEO
Glenn
is-
saying
he
he
said he wanted to
notified
continue,
us.
correct?
think
I
so.
would move that we appoint Glenn Stegman to council on, not the council on aging. I'm
Flint
sorry.
Hills
Flint-
area.
Flint Hills area on,
And
I'll
that's
second.
in it, that's in addition to the normal terms
Yeah.
they have. And usually that goes to the CEO who had already granted him that, but whatever, thanks.
Have a motion and a second, for no further discussion, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
We'll adjourn until Monday, I guess. There is a possibility that we could have a special meeting, but